Hey everyone, it's time to preview the final game of the NFL Week 9. We have the Arizona Cardinals at the Dallas Cowboys. Important game for both sides. Earlier in the week, Dallas were $1.64. They're now currently sitting at $1.56, and the handicap is now just over the minus 3.5. Total at 53.5. Now, this game largely hinges on Kyler Murray playing or not playing in terms of the Cardinals' chances, because they're without their running backs in James Conner and Trey Benson already. They really don't have much shot here if Kyler Murray doesn't play. Now, the move for Dallas kind of indicates that questionable foot injury is not looking as ideal as it initially was a couple of days ago, but we'll see as we get closer to game time. For the sake of this video, I'm going to assume that he's in for Arizona, as obviously if he's out, then this game becomes very predictable. Dallas should be winning and should be winning comfortably. Let's move ahead, assuming that he does get up for this game. He really does need to, with Arizona sitting last in the NFC West with just a 2-5 record. They have the Seattle Seahawks, LA Rams, and San Francisco 49ers all above them with 5 wins, and they've only got the 2 so far. They started their season with back-to-back wins over New Orleans and Carolina, but have since then lost 5 straight games. The key, though, is not just looking at their wins and losses. When you look a little bit deeper, all 5 of those losses were by 4 or less points. And looking through the play-by-play of those games, they lost them in kind of a few different ways. Final minute field goals, had a lead going into the fourth quarter, lost it. They had a 21-6 lead against Tennessee at 3-quarter time and gave the Titans their first win of the year, came back to beat them. And also, 4 of those 5 losses were against teams with winning records. The Green Bay Packers, Indianapolis Colts, the Seattle Seahawks, and also the San Francisco 49ers. So they're not really going as bad as a 2-5 record suggests they are. And they've also been without Kyler Murray for the past 2 games. On the road this year, they have a 1-2 record, and they do have a road game again next week against Seattle, who is the current divisional leader for them in the NFC West. As I mentioned, Kyler Murray is questionable. That's the key factor for them. And we already know that they're without James Conner and Trey Benson at running back, which isn't ideal, as Dallas is one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. So I think they'd really like to have, especially James Conner, available. But we'll dive into Arizona a little bit more in a second. Dallas, they have a 3-4-1 record, 3 wins, 4 losses, 1 tie against Green Bay, and they're currently second in the NFC East behind Philadelphia. They've played well at home this season, 2 wins against their divisional rivals, the New York Giants and Washington Commanders, and the tie with Green Bay. Compared to their road record, where they have 1 win, 4 losses, and the only win they had on the road was against the New York Jets, who are a 1-7 side, they're looking like they're playing a lot better at home than they are when they need to travel. And they really do need to capitalize on this week and next week against Las Vegas, as following these 2 games, they'll play Philadelphia, Kansas City, and Detroit. You can just about put those up as 3 losses for them. Can't see them winning more than 1 of those 3 games, so they really need to get through this next 5 weeks. Ideally with 2 wins here and then getting 1 of those 3 games. And if they do drop, in my opinion, either of these next 2 games, whether this week against Arizona or next week against Las Vegas, then they're just about out of the divisional race entirely, as Philadelphia will start to skip away on them. They have injury concerns, particularly on defense in the secondary, which has been an issue for them all season. And I think Arizona is going to need to target that, and that's why it's so important Kyler Murray does play. Jacoby Brissett has been filling in for Murray whilst he's been injured, but with Murray expected to return, we should be able to have a good game against this Dallas defense. It's one of the worst in the league. They give up over 31 points per game and also the most penalty yards on defense. So Arizona should be able to work their way down the field fairly well. They also, the Dallas Cowboys, struggle to contain quarterbacks who scramble, so it suits perfectly here for Kyler Murray, assuming he's 100% or at least close to it. I do think Arizona can't afford to just keep him out of this game and save him for next week, as this season will just about have slipped away if they lose this one and they need to win games. The only teams who haven't scored 30 or more points on Dallas in the past 7 weeks still scored 22 points. Those teams were the New York Jets, who are, if not the worst offense in the league, and Washington, who scored 22 points, had 15 at halftime, and it was the game Jaden Daniels got injured in. Arizona should be able to work the ball down the field pretty easily here and just need to be able to convert it into points once they get to the red zone. They're about an average red zone side, but Dallas are terrible defensively in the red zone, so that gives the Cardinals an opportunity. And the success on this offense is just going to hinge around Murray's passing yards, scrambling yards. So I'd be looking at both of these markets for him, and hopefully he is good to go, especially with James Conner, Trey Benson out. Bam Knight's going to get the majority of carries at running back, but I don't think Arizona are going to want to put too much pressure on them, and instead they'll look to keep the ball in Murray's hands for the most part. Receivers for the Cardinals, both Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison have been the two popular targets for the Cardinals this year. McBride has had 7 or more targets and 5 or more catches in every game this season, and has had 11 or more targets in 3 of the last 4 games. Dallas are okay at defending tight ends, but they especially struggle against wide receivers. So Marvin Harrison is that big play down the field receiver. Only gets a couple of catches a game, but it's usually for a really decent gain, and has had a 15 or more yard reception in every game this season. So I'd look to see Murray target Harrison down the field for a big reception. You should be able to pick up a chunk of yards there. If Arizona are able to move down the field, it'll keep this game close, as their defense is pretty solid. It's done a good job of keeping them in contests for the most part this season. Then for Dallas, their offense has played very well this season. They're currently averaging just over 30 points per game, which is second best in the NFL, and the fact of how many points their defense is giving up. But their passing game's going really well, and also running back Javonte Williams is having a great season. He's averaging just over 5 yards per run on the year and has had 85 or more yards in half the games so far. For this game, I expect him to get about 13 carries, maybe a touch more, but Dallas will need to throw the ball a fair bit, and teams have tended to do that against Arizona. They ranked 28th in opponent pass attempts, so significantly more than the average, and they do have a 2-5 record, so you wouldn't expect it to be that high. This year, about 60% of Dak Prescott's targets have been across George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, and Jake Ferguson. Pickens and Ferguson accounted for 12 of the 17 passing touchdown receptions so far this season. George Pickens has had 57 or more yards in 7 of 8 games. The exception was back in week 1 against Philadelphia, so he's had at least 57 in 7 straight games. CeeDee Lamb has had 74 or more yards in all 4 games that he's played. The only other game that he played where he didn't get this, he was injured early against Chicago when they used him on a running play in that first quarter. He's averaging 101.5 yards with 8 or more targets in all those 4 games where he's played the full 4 quarters. The tight end, Jake Ferguson, is reliable. He's had 51 catches from 59 targets, but only had 11 targets across the past 3 games. 1 target last week against Denver after averaging almost 10 per game across the first 5 weeks of the season. So for Dallas, I'd lean slightly more towards their passing game and targeting that with your bets as opposed to the running game with Javonte Williams. Just don't know if he's going to get enough carries, and if a few of them get shut down, it could make him hard for him to pick up the yards. So be surrounding your bets around Prescott's passing yards, and receivers, I'd be targeting George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb as the main 2 options, just with that the way Jake Ferguson is trending of late. But overall for this game, assuming Kyler Murray plays, I expect this to be a close, high-scoring contest. Arizona, they're a big chance of the upset here, but Murray will need to have a good game as they are limited on the ground, so it's really going to hinge on them. It's not a game where I'm super keen to play a side. I think it's a better game for props. If Murray plays, I'd be betting his passing and rushing yards. I think he's going to pick up plenty on both sides of things. Trey McBride would be his most reliable target, especially against this Dallas defense. And also, as I mentioned, Marvin Harrison, he's likely to drag down a couple of big catches. Dallas, with them passing the ball, Prescott is averaging 36 attempts per game. He'll be looking for CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens here. So the best option is to surround your bets around that. Definitely give Arizona a chance for an upset, or at least keep it close. But yeah, should be an interesting game to close out the round. If you want to follow all my final bets that are locked in for every game throughout the season. The link to that is in the description. Right now, winning over 63% on NFL bets. So it's very, very profitable and a very strategic way of betting it. It only takes you a few minutes to follow along for the selections each week. Thanks guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. There'll be more NFL videos coming out soon for week number 10. And also there's going to be NBA videos up on this channel soon, previewing matches, looking at the best props available, all that kind of stuff, so you can make money on the NBA as well. See you guys in the next video.